You are listening to Golden Otter Divinations, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Tune in as Autumn helps you manifest your dreams by connecting to loved ones in spirit, empowering you to find both physical and spiritual healing. Are you ready to transform your life and connect to divine guidance through practical strategies? Golden Otter Divinations is the place to find engaging interviews with medical experts, practicing mediums, intuitives, healers, and many more. Now, here's your host, Autumn Seibel.
Hi everyone, I'm Autumn and you're listening to Golden Otter Divinations. Stay with us for the next hour as we explore where the metaphysical meets the mainstream. Join us when we have new, informative, and engaging interviews with medical experts, practicing mediums, intuitives, healers, and many more to help uplift, educate, and empower listeners like you to find the physical and spiritual healing that you seek. So it's back to school season, and today I have the teacher whose class we wish we were all in. Her name is Mrs. Adrienne Collins. Adrienne's an educator extraordinaire and the founder of Great Day Academics, which is an incredible resource for students, parents, educators, administrators, and any others invested in the education of our youth. The intention of Great Day Academics is to broaden the intellectual spirit of families, communities, and the education system by implementing heart-centered, mindful, and intuitive learning in today's modern world. With that said, I am so happy to have the honor of introducing you to the wife, mother, and educator who is challenging the school system to expand its conventional ways of thinking and encourage children to re-examine how they wish to define and achieve success. Welcome to Golden Otter Divinations, Adrienne.
Thanks, Autumn. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. So we don't have a video right now, and I think it's the teacher's curse that every time you've prepped this amazing lesson plan, you're ready to present to your class, and a thumb drive doesn't work, or the charger's dead, or there's some sort of teacher tech curse, which I'm sure a lot of you teachers out there can relate to. But maybe we'll get it on later in the show. Right? How many times have you ever gone to teach a lesson? You're like, forget it, just get your books out. We're gonna do this old school.
So true. I can count so many times.
That's the crutch of depending on technology. But okay, so to raise our vibration and really get in the flow, I like to start the show by asking all my guests if they've had any golden moments lately. So golden meaning a time you were just totally in the flow, or an interaction that you knew was sent by spirit, something that made you smile and your heart sang.
I love this question. Absolutely love this question. Well, actually, anything revolving around Autumn Seibel is a golden moment. I feel like our friendship is a golden moment. But I do remember, it just dawned on me today, when I was getting ready for the show, that about a year ago, a cousin asked me, hey, why don't you, talk about your organization on a radio? And I kind of pushed it aside. I said, no, that's not even in my wheelhouse. It's just not my thing. And then I put a little manifesting vibration out there. So, what would it take to get on a radio show, for the benefit of all, if it's meant to be. And then a year later, a radio show calls me. So that was a pretty cool golden moment for me.
Boom. I love that. That is so perfect. Okay, well, and speaking of co-creation, I'm going to do something right now, take a little roll call, take it back to my teaching roots. And before we really get into the swing of things, I'm going to throw this out to the universe for a little magical co-creation action with a quick class roll call of light workers. So listen up. Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Tony Robbins, Gary V, Oprah and Gail, Esther Hicks, Eckhart Tolle, Marie Forleo, Gabby Bernstein, Gay Hendricks, Kate and Christian Northrup, Deepak Chopra, James Van Praagh, Christy Marie Sheldon, Goldie Hawn, Vishen Lakhiani, Reed Tracy, Lewis Howe, and Jeff Walker. If you or someone you love is listening to this, please give Adrienne a call. She's here to bring your message to the next generation. You've called us to action, and we're ready to take the ball and run. Call the network, email me, visit our website, send smoke signals, energy pings, whatever, we'll get it. Wayne Dyer, Florence Shin, Louise Hay, and Jerry Hicks, I know you're tuned in and turned on, so tap us in. We're ready to play. Okay, so Adrienne and I, for anybody who doesn't know, maybe I haven't posted publicly, we used to teach together. So we're two teachers that found each other as friends, and now all these years later have reconnected as mothers and business owners, entrepreneurs. And today we're going to talk about your amazing company that I am so excited to share with the world. And the reason I'm so like exploding with joy right now, beyond it being back to school season and that kind of being the buzz in the air, is that in the metaphysical world and even in the mainstream, you hear people a lot complaining about schools and the school system, and they should teach kids this, and why don't they teach kids this? And there's a lot of a complaint, or like a call to action, if you will. And you are here answering that. That is what I love about you, Adrienne. You're saying, oh, you want the school system to change. You want our children to lead more heart-centered and brain-balanced lives. I'm here. I've got your answer. So I want to talk about the importance of whole child education and holistic education. So could you just tell me quickly, what is Great Day Academics?
So, Great Day Academics, I love how you explained that earlier, because it is an organization that's here to shake things up in the best way imaginable. We're here to create change for the education system, just a little bit of a evolved form of education. So we provide children's empowerment programs and services for parents, schools, and communities as a means to provide a more well-rounded form of education. So what that means is we focus on balancing the use of our brain and the use of our heart in order to accomplish the personal and academic goals for kids. It's really grounded in character building, self-awareness, the science of mind-body awareness, the social emotional well-being aspect of education, heart intelligence, mindfulness practices, and one that always gets people's eyebrows raised is strengthening intuition. So our goal is to make this assortment of life skills a permanent part of the curriculum in both the private and public school system, because we need it.
Yes.
Great Day Academics is somewhat of a play on words. So when we mostly think about academics, we think about those core curriculum areas like math, science, reading, writing, your favorite, Autumn, history. But what if academics weren't limited to just those areas of study? What if we were, just like our kids were going to art and music and science, they were going on a daily basis to learn these life skills and tools to create healthy relationships, to be authentically happy, and more effective ways to achieve goals through intention and intuition.
I love this. I love all of this. So a quick background on Adrienne. You have been Teacher of the Year in Gwinnett County, Georgia, and taught all over the country. You're also an active duty military spouse. And that, like myself, that has given us a platform to teach in so many different school settings and see the way that the education system operates at a broader level. And this is something that maybe you might see taught in one school, but in another school, like if you say the word yoga, it's like, whoa, that's a little too out there. But I'm here in DC right now, and you've been to my daughter's school and sort of seen what's going on in the city. And they are really starting to focus on this idea of love and children feeling loved when they come to school and feeling grounded and safe. And I love this idea that schools need to be safe spaces, because what we see going on in the world is it's not good. It's not sustainable. It is not the direction any of us want. None of us bring children into this world hoping that someday they'll be in a school system where they don't feel safe and loved and honored. So that's what I love about Great Day Academics, because you guys are answering the call. I could go on and on about our teaching stories.
You you said it perfectly, because the anxiety, the bullying, the school violence, the depression, the teacher burnout, we're kind of hitting a wall
tipping point.
And time for, us to get into our education, to cultivate more conscious, productive, compassionate, more cohesive groups of people. So we live more sustainable, authentic lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I guess that kind of begs the question of how did you get started? Why did you leave the classroom? I know, like you're like myself, you have a young child, and that's part of the reason I left the classroom. Is teacher burnout is a real thing. I taught high school social studies for 10 years. I still do curriculum development because intellectually I find it very stimulating and I love it. But I do miss my students. I miss being in the classroom. I miss their energy. But 120 high schoolers a day, that's a lot of energy coming at you, especially in a system that doesn't necessarily support the whole child. So I'm supposed to have a student come into my class, sit down. I know that something's up with them. Their energy is off. Maybe they've just been crying, or maybe they're boiling with rage. And I'm not supposed to address that. I'm supposed to just kind of manage it in a classroom environment. It's like, manage a student. They're just as important in that classroom as I am as the teacher. So everybody is involved, and I do see that changing. I see curriculum changing, and I see the school system as a whole realizing that whole child education isn't just a fad. It really, there's science behind it. And the more studies that kind of come out and support this idea of resonance, and when you're in a state of resonance, so Greg Braden, if you're listening, shout out everybody to follow him and learn about resonance. And when the heart and brain are synced, it allows you to be in a state of flow where you can learn. If you're boiling with rage, or you're upset, or something's going on and you're in the classroom, like, you're not necessarily in a mindset or a heart set to be learning. And again, I teach high school, but Adrienne, you teach young children. So tell me how you got started with Great Day Academics in the elementary realm.
Okay. Well, I was always really good at connecting with children. Is definitely my calling, and definitely a gift that I'm very blessed to have. So when I was teaching elementary school, I absolutely loved it. But after about, like you said, 4 or 5 years, like a lot of other teachers, I became burned out and just overwhelmed with the heaviness of it all. Standardized testing was a part of that. And even though my students were still achieving and making good scores, I just felt that it was too one-sided. And it became more stressful and not in alignment with what I felt was necessary for my students to thrive as growing adults. I really honed in on what it was that I loved about education, and I just love the inspirational, the motivational side of it, to get these kids to live, good lives. Because oftentimes we talk about it as adults, how do you live a more well-rounded life? How do you become balanced? How do you handle not just the emotional part, but the resilience part of it all when you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, or not where you want to be in life? How do you handle resilience? How do you, get that goal under your belt? So that's kind of how Great Day Academics started. I said, I just need a shift. So I got out of the public school setting, for a little bit, and it was like a light bulb turned off. And I said, I need to do something for these kids that's going to elevate them in a way to make them re-examine what success in life is. And so I started to really practice and completely immerse myself in things that were geared toward how to navigate life in a more gratifying way. I trained myself to stop limiting behavioral patterns and things that were attracting undesirable circumstances in my life. And I just, like you said, I said, why aren't kids being taught this in schools? Like, this is critical.
Yeah.
So why not take all the big concepts from life coaches and powerful thought leaders, like you said, Louise Hay, Eckhart Tolle, Florence Scovel Shim, all those people from around the world and the globe, and put them in a kid-friendly package so that they can be healthier, more aware, and break boundaries to live better lives.
So the teacher became the student in this sense, and you kind of started to work on yourself, with the intention of giving back. And I think that's a big thing in the teaching world, is that we give so much. Teachers naturally are healers, they're light workers, and most people that last in education are there for their hearts. We know that teacher salaries are not on par with the education that they receive or the training that they receive. And true professional educators who do their due diligence, who use their time in the summers to hone their teaching skills or to learn more, they do it for the love of students. And so in this sense, I love that what you have done is you became the student so that you could go back and empower your students. And I kind of feel like in the same way, that's what I'm seeking. Eventually, I know I will go back to the classroom. I know my students are waiting for me, and I miss them so much. And I say my students as if it's the same kids all the time, and it's not. What's so great about teaching is that every year you get a new opportunity and a new group, and then you sometimes get to see those kids in the future and see the beautiful places that they've gone. And like that's the true heart of a teacher. But so with this holistic education, our listeners on Transformation Talk Radio are probably very familiar with the idea of holistic living. But I want to talk about holistic education as the new face of the education system and what that would look like specifically in our country. It's no longer necessarily a woo-woo or flower child concept. So tell us about when educators teach holistically, what level of learning they can provide.
So when educators teach holistically, they basically are geared toward improving, like you said, the student as a whole child. This includes the child's physical, personal, social, emotional well-being, as well as the cognitive aspects of learning, because that is so important. I also want to add in the spiritual side of the whole child, and I know people really aren't open to that in a way, but when I mean spiritual, I mean basically whatever faith that you have or do not have, whatever is grounding you in the background of your family, as something that, is something that they do at home, they practice at home on the weekend as a part of whatever religion or faith they have or spiritual belief that they have. And then when they get into school, they're asked to kind of cut it off, or it's just not a part of it. But what I'm saying is just, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to speak to what you're saying, it's this idea that, not educating the whole child. It's like, leave that at the door. And you don't have to bring your religious beliefs into the classroom. In fact, I'm a history teacher, and that we are very much not allowed to do that in the public school setting. And I respect that. That's where the private school systems and, faith-based education comes in, if that's a choice for your family, or homeschooling. But to not honor that part of the child, because essentially what any spiritual practice is this belief that you, as a small piece of universal stardust, are actually part of the greater whole. That same mentality is what we should be fostering in the school system. And some schools really are. I don't want to say we're not doing it, because I know at my daughter's school, I see it every day. I get goosebumps. I'm like, wow, this is holistic education in a public school setting that is like kind of taking root in a big city. And I love seeing it, especially since when I went into teaching over 10 years ago, did my master's thesis on the public education system. And I was a teacher. I was on the other side of it. So now as a parent, when I've got a pony in this race, I've got skin in the game, and I am all in. But it changes from an intellectual teacher perspective. You're like, well, I'm doing my best, and this is all they pay me for. And, what more can they expect? As a parent, I go in, and every day when I see my child's teachers and paraprofessionals and administrators fostering this holistic school environment and bringing their best, I'm like high-fiving them energetically, thumbs up, like, thank you for doing this, for fostering this beautiful environment for my child to thrive in, so that I, as a parent, can thrive. When I was an educator, I didn't really consider that. I just kind of was like, I'm only, teaching whoever is sitting right in front of me, like left and right blinders. And sometimes I might have to have a parent teacher conference, and I'm like, oh. Yikes.
That's so good that you're able to, like, you're honest about that. And it's good. The more that we are honest about that kind of thing, the more we can say, oh, wait, yeah, there's a little something missing. But I do want to just, shout out to my public school, because I'm a proud public school teacher.
Yeah, girl.
I feel so passionate about this being in the public schools, because I love my public school kids all of them.
Yeah. So let's talk about the big concepts in holistic education, which include learning about oneself and developing healthy relationships and positive social interactions. It's kind of what we were just talking about. But what do you notice happening in schools? Because you're in the schools with Great Day Academics. You're taking this into the schools.
Yeah. So what I notice, especially with like you said, the other side of it is so different as a parent now. As a parent, it's completely different from being a teacher. So now I feel like I've come full circle and looking at it from all different angles. But with my daughter now in preschool, I'm really honed in, which I have not taught before. I've never taught preschool. That's not my area.
What's your age range? What's your sweet spot in education?
So my expertise is basically from 3rd to 8th grade. Around that 5th grade, 6th grade age is where I really thrive. Yeah. And it wasn't until now that I, did the research and discovered that actually around that age 11, and that middle school age, we all know it. We all sense the shift in our middle schoolers.
When the peer influence and parent influence cross. And for so many years, parents are the ones that you're taking all of your cues from, and your peers aren't as important. And then it switches, and suddenly the peer index, and you start becoming more an independent being. But sorry, what were you going to say about kid karma?
Oh, but basically, yeah. And I don't know if you're a believer in this or not. I don't know if I'm a believer in it or not, but I did discover or study somewhere that around that age is where students start taking on their own karma. So right up until that age, kids typically take on the karma of the adults that they're, their parents or the main adults in their lives. And around that age is when they shift energetically and start taking on their own karma. So it's like a big energetic shift at that age. So it's a really good age to really tap in and teach them about who they really are and, what life is all about, what the world is about all around them.
So speaking of that, let's talk about the empowerment services and curriculum that you offer as part of Great Day. So what is children's empowerment, and why is that so important in the curriculum?
So children's empowerment is really important in the curriculum, like I said, with the older grades, because typically in younger grades, we teach more about kindness and learning how to share and all those things. But once they get older, it's, we've already talked that we've moved on, but really we need to evolve as the kids grow. And as the kids evolve, they also need to be taught those kind of things, like you said, with their peers. So when I say children's empowerment, some people get a little confused and they say, we don't want to foster kids who are negatively outspoken, who are aggressive, demanding, or entitled kids. But it's really the exact opposite of that. Children's empowerment is a process of making children stronger and more confident while taking ownership of their lives in a more organic and authentic way. So it's not aggressive, it's not belittling, it's not rude. But children's empowerment, they learn how they know themselves a little bit better in a way that gives them discernment to act and react with respect to others and themselves. So it's more of like a subtle awareness and self-realization in a more positive, wise, and beneficial lens.
Yeah. We need that so much at the high school level. So my sweet spot in education is 9th through 12th grade. And I started in early education, I think like most people right out of college do. And my heart was just too tender for the babies. And when I, saw kids that couldn't go on field trips because their families couldn't afford it. Because where I grew up, if there was a field trip, everybody just pitched in, you went, nobody stayed behind at school. And when I was teaching in Title I schools where, there's a disparity of income and kids are being left out of activities. My heart broke. And I said, to my mentor teachers, can I just pay for them? And a mentor teacher said to me, honey, if a little kid missing a field trip is breaking your heart this much, you are not cut out for early elementary, because you will see some things that will really hurt you.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And so then I moved up and then I got to the high school level where I felt like I was having conversations with conscious beings, or at least almost conscious beings, because we know at the high school level, their frontal lobes are still sort of forming, and you're going, why would you do that? It's like, oh, your brain is still little, needs to come together. Which for anybody with teachers out there, please make sure your kids are not having too much screen time and sleeping. High schoolers need sleep. Their brains are growing almost as quickly. It's the second time in their life. This is like a PSA for all parents with teenagers. For the second time in their life. So their brains are growing at this massive rate. And the first is when they're infants. And then the second is the high school into early college timeframe. So like 15 to 18 or 19, that's when the brain is, the plasticity is really forming. So like, force your child to get an extra hour or two of sleep. Their teachers will thank you. But going back to what we were talking about with heart intelligence and teaching these high schoolers different skills. I've heard of different schools doing things like peace talks and like the talking wand and things that can be a little silly at the high school level. But essentially what you're instilling is this idea of community, and that it's all of our responsibility to care for each other. And, if we could instill more honest conversations in our schools, and these don't have to be like super raw where we're really getting into topics that maybe aren't appropriate for the school classroom. I mean, I know that I've had class situations happen in my classroom where I'm like, we need a social worker for this. You can report to me, and I'm a mandatory reporter, and I will get that information to where it needs to be, but I am not trained for this. But I hear you, and thank you for telling me, and thank you for feeling safe, and I will get you the assistance that you need. Oh my gosh, that brings tears to my eyes thinking about some of my students who felt safe enough to reach out to me and show me their hearts and know that I was going to help them be safe. And that feeling that I have right now in my heart is what I want every teacher to feel, and not be scared and not know what to do and say, oh, this is out of my hands. I can't possibly handle this, and, run from the situation, if not physically, energetically. Let's go back to what you do with Great Day, because that is what you do. You train guides and you provide a curriculum to help teachers be kind of like first line light workers to, because think of all the lives that one teacher can touch. 120 students every semester. It's 240 students a year. If you teach summer school like I used to, we're getting up into 500. Anyways, oh man, I really just had a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And you say heart intelligence with because kids are dealing with a lot, and some, and I want to focus on, because it's for everybody, and children's empowerment is really empowerment for everybody. And I just want to, heart intelligence is it's like an internal GPS. So it teaches kids to know that happiness is a choice, and they don't have to rely on what others think or material things. And it's really to get out of negative situations with integrity and a peace of mind.
Yes.
It turns blame to responsibility. It turns criticism to love. It turns judgment, because we're so judgmental. We turn judgment to understanding. It turns bullying into kindness. It turns complaint into gratitude. And I do want to share this quick example with my daughter. So speaking of complaint into gratitude, because when kids are in a state of gratitude just for being in existence and not saying I need this game or I need this thing, and that's really hard, especially my daughter's 4,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really age or, me. And so she does the most amazing thing. She's able to self-regulate her own behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And even
because she has the well-informed mama.
Yeah. And so I got down on myself for doing something. The computer shut down. I was really upset. I was like, I should have saved that document. I was upset. And my 4-year-old looked at me and said, Mommy, you have a great house, a great bed to sleep in. You have me as a daughter. Be happy, Mommy. That's okay. That's happy. And she does that with her stuff too. She will be in a fit, throwing a little tantrum, and she's able to self-regulate her behavior, to breathe and say, you know what? I'm not hurt. I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Let's move on. And for a 4-year-old to do that, it speaks wonders.
I love that. It's the self-regulation that we need to see more of. It kind of goes back to that conversation about classroom management. And when you're managing a class, you're kind of like supposed to stand up front and orchestrate things. But if we have more students regulating themselves and coming into the classroom and knowing that there is a safe space for that, and that the classroom is set up for that. And there are classrooms out there doing this. And in fact, if you are, please reach out to Adrienne, reach out to me. We will blast your information out, because we want this to become normal. And the way, like the norm, we want to hear more fun stories of, there's more meditation rooms in schools, or calm rooms, I think is what they're calling them now, where instead of in-school suspension, they're sending kids into calm rooms, where it's like you can opt to go to this space. Like if you just need a few minutes to like regulate yourself. I've seen it in elementary schools and upper education. That's all kids need, is just a minute. They're just like the rest.
Yeah, we need it as adults. We need it even as adults. We need to walk away sometimes.
Yes.
As adults, to recollect. And this is all about sustainable careers for teachers.
Yeah.
The burnout rate is reaching an all-time high, and I just feel like there's so many wonderful educators that I want to be in the classroom, but they're becoming burnout. So we want teachers to have sustainable careers, and kids to just thrive, and us to, have fun and learn.
I love that. So I'm just going to go through kind of quickly a list of services that you provide, just so you can give me a general idea. So you do classroom consults for teachers, school transformation consults, empowerment camps, parent-child relationship buildings, which I love that, individual child mentoring sessions, and full year programs for schools, and then inspiration shots. Man, you literally do it all. Like, this is amazing. So how can schools get in touch with you if they want to reach you for any of your services?
So they can go to the website at www.greatdayacademics. Oh wait, that's my email.
That's okay.
Go to the website.
You might get a flood.
Okay. Why not? I'll give you both. So the website is greatdayacademics.org. So again, that's greatdayacademics.org. And my email, I'll just put it out there, is greatday.academics@gmail.com. That is my personal email.
Gmail.org? Gmail.com.
Yeah.
Is it at gmail.com? And then while we're talking about it, you actually have a giveaway for the show, which is your power tool of the month. We will talk about it in a second, but while we're mentioning emails, the first 3 people to contact you via email will receive a free word power tool. So tell me about them.
So power tools are really awesome. So a lot of people and teachers are asking, or any parents, everybody, they're really for everybody, but geared for children. But people are really asking, what can I do right away? So once a month, it's like a snack size portion of empowerment is featured on our website. And the power tools are a collection of really awesome techniques that are simple, practical, and effective. And like I said before, empowerment is for everyone. So these little tools help improve self-awareness, focus, mood, and productivity. So you can achieve more with simplicity. So that's why we only feature one a month, because we all know it takes 21 days to form a habit and really 40 days to really change your biochemistry so that you really soak in that new habit. So we really want you to really adapt the tool that we put out once a month. It's really fun.
And then what's this? You guys have a We Conscious framework as a company? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that just basically means that we think about the whole. So if you have a shift in positive energy, if you're doing well, so that means we're doing well because we're really all connected. We're, you know, it sounds, you know, kind of woo-woo, but we're really all family. And that's really what Great Day Academics is about, because we teach through science. And we have anthropologist studies that show, you know, we are really genetically family. And so what you put out there and what others are doing is some way going to energetically come back to you. And that's just fact-based science.
I love that. So Golden Otter Divinations, you are seeing it here now, is adopting a We Conscious framework, which I feel like I kind of am, but I've never heard it. That's how I built the company, but I've never heard it put in such a eloquent way. And I love that idea that like we benefit, you benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's something else that you said. So that's a little more metaphysical. You know, some people might not be able to jump on board with that idea in the mainstream. If there's like this dog eat dog mentality, it might take a little bit to shift into this if I win, you win, a rising tide lifts all boats mentality. But you mentioned science, and I want to drill down on that, because that is with my mediumship, with my company, everything I approach from a scientific lens. I was kind of forced into that because I always had to prove everything. And once I stopped caring about proving things, that's when everything really started moving quickly. But I was kind of trained that you had to see the science and things. And I'm thankful for that viewpoint, because it kind of keeps your feet on the ground while your head is in the sky. So talk about the science behind the power tools. Like you had water as a power tool recently. Tell me about how you use that to boost test scores that you were able to measure and increase body-mind awareness.
Okay, so so Great Day Academics is the science is really what sets our what we do apart from other mindful and character building services. So, for example, like one of our inspiration shops, you know, we're always tell kids, you know, the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated, and that's it. You know, think about yourself, you know, how you want to be treated, and that's it. But we go in there and we explain in depth with biology at the cellular level and physics. You know, Newton's third law of motion: for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Energy can only be transferred. It can't be destroyed. So that scientifically, if you are kind to others, you know, that on an energetic level, it will eventually come back. What you do to others is already being done to yourself, if I can close.
So that is both science and metaphysics. We are literally talking where the metaphysical meets the mainstream. So some of your other... Go.
Oh, so this one, I'm sorry, I'm so excited about the Power Tool this month, because it's like the foundation of what Great Day Academics is all about. So for going back to school season in September, the Power Tool of the month is word power. And it's basically a scientific experiment that shows physical evidence of how your words and your thoughts affect you and people around you in your body. So it's a really, really cool experiment that we want every classroom to do. It'll really set the tone for your classroom and have students see, wow, the things that I am saying are showing up physically in front of my eyes. Like that, it's incredible.
And it's based off of Dr. Emoto's water experiments, right? Where he blessed the water and then he infused one with love and one with hate. And then they were able to look at the molecules of the water that was infused with love and the water that was infused with hate.
Yes, full credit to Dr. Emoto. Yes,
Dr.
definitely
Emoto.
inspired by his experience. Yes, absolutely.
Very exciting. And for any teachers out there listening, this is a lesson plan. So if like I've seen the power tools, they're so well written. They're amazing lesson plans, and they're science based, and you can align them with your local standards, because if you have to teach the Common Core, things like that, you can adapt these for use in your classroom. Yeah. And then next month,
at the beginning of the school year. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I'm just saying, at the beginning of the school year, it's so important to, build that rapport with your kids and build connections and, set the goals for the year. And so teaching them the power of their word choices, to be more mindful with how they speak to you. And for parents do this at home with your kids. If your kids are, saying things that aren't as desirable to you and you want them to change how they speak and interact with you, this is a really powerful tool to use.
Awesome. And then next month is Super Brain Yoga, right in time to help with fall testing, which I'm taking my little otters to family yoga tonight to get their wiggles out and celebrate our show. But we only have a few minutes left. That went so quickly. Really quick before we go, I want to know how to get involved. So you have Great Day Guides, which Great Day Guides are light workers who teach, as we mentioned, and they can get in touch with you at greatdayacademics.org. They can sign up for your email list for the most up-to-date information, or again, email you at greatday.academics@gmail.com. That information is all on the network. Again, that class roll call that we called earlier, you could also send smoke signals, or energy pings, but email tends to be faster nowadays. So lastly, how can listeners help more children receive empowerment services? Tell me just quickly about that, how we can do that.
Donate. You can donate via the website. The more money raised, the more students in the public school system receive free inspiration shops back in May because of donated funds via the Great Day website. A classroom and a Title I public school outside of DC, Mrs. Weeks' class, third class, received a classroom kindness counts inspiration shop. You can do power tools and, spread the word when kids do them. They can tell other kids and parents. And please, please, please talk to your teachers, principals, superintendents, talk to your state representatives about how they support students on a daily basis when it comes to holistic education and empowering kids.
Awesome.
So they can adopt more tools. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Adrienne, I'm going to post your top 3 pro tips and for holistic education, student achievement, and heart-centered education. So I will post that on my Instagram. If you guys want to check that out, head over to Golden Otter Divinations on Instagram or Facebook and follow me, and I will post that. So it's time to go. I can't believe this went so quickly. I want to thank my guest today, Adrienne Collins, for sharing her toolkit for youth empowerment. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Golden Otter Radio. I had an amazing time sharing this sacred co-creation space with you. Have a great week, and I'll feel your positive vibes back here next time.
Thank you for listening to Golden Otter Divinations, where the metaphysical meets the mainstream with Autumn Seibel. Exploring where the metaphysical meets the mainstream, Golden Otter Divinations helps you draw in the abundance that is yours by divine right. For more information or to listen to this show, visit goldenotter.us. That's golden like the precious metal and otter like the precious animal.us.